Hi guys, Dorota Palicka, international nail artist and educator here, and today I will show you how to achieve a very nice and easy ombre with the neon pigments. Absolutely fantastic way. Have a preview of it in here. Very fast, and I hope you'll find it useful. So let's start.
Desire Nails is the proud sponsor of this episode because your nails deserve luxury.
So I will show you how to do this ombre with the neon pigments. So you have seen me using the gel polish quite a lot, but I will show you now with that pigments. I'm going to use 173, which is a Tic Tac white, and just paint the surface white. So using this technique, I'm not sure actually which one is faster. I'll let you judge it and let me know in the comments as well which one you prefer, the ombre with the neon pigments or the ombre with the gel polish and the acrylic hack. So I have just painted the tip white, and of course I would paint the client's nails white as well. Like always make sure there is no dust and fluff particles on it. I actually quite love this white as well because for a white gel polish it has a pretty nice coverage. And then once you're happy with this one, give it a cure. You want to cure your gel polish 60 seconds, and I will show you maybe four different color combination for the ombre. Of course, the most important one is the rainbow one, so the entire range of the neon pigments, because the more color we use, the harder it is always. That is cooking nicely. So your next step is to grab the nail forms, and the reason for me taking the nail forms is the fact that there might be always some sort of dirt or fluff going on your sponges, and you really don't want that. And then I've got some sponge in here, which I'm just going to cut it into a small piece. So usually I try to cut the size of the nail. If someone has a really nice and tiny nails, this is the size of the sponge I would cut. And when we're working with the sponges, it's actually quite nice to have a tweezer as well, so you don't touch it with your fingers and you do not play it with your fingers. I have removed any fluff which might be on my sponge. And now I'm just going to bring in some pigment. So first of all, I'm going to actually do it maybe 3 colors. So this is going to be the purple one. And what you want to do is you want to actually ombre your sponge. Okay, so the neon pigments work slightly different. And I'm just putting the purple one, then going into a pink one. I like to also keep some sort of wipe or something on my desk, just so I do not get dirty all over, because obviously the pigments can go pretty messy. Okay, and then the orange. So the orange is going to be my last color. I would say for me it is pretty time consuming to ombre the sponge, because you really need to rub those pigments into your sponge. But the advantage of it is once you've got it, rub it in, you can kind of store it and you don't have to reapply it that often. So the sponge will last you for a pretty decent amount of the application. Okay, so I've got created like 4 colors. I'm just gonna retouch the purple one, and this way my sponge is ready for a ombre. So I'm just grabbing the first tip and my tweezer, and then we are gonna start applying it into the nail. Okay, so once you touch it, there we are. I just want to grab it. There we are. You want to go and bring in those pigments into your gel polish. You can see it stakes really nicely and beautifully, like the color coverage is quite strong. The advantage of the neon pigments is because they are so strong, you can get a really pigmented ombre. Okay, and if there is any pigment touching the skin, obviously you apply the top coat and you just get your clients wash the hands, but you don't have any inhibition layer from the gel polish. So that's the blending of the first colors we have did. And basically after that you just apply the top coat to protect everything. Hello, Lucky. I don't know what was that. So the top coat is smoothing out any imperfections you might have as well. And you can see it, like the results are really impressive. So depending on the color coverage and the results you want to get, I would use different techniques. Okay, let's cook this one. Okay, and then on this one, I can go maybe straight away with the ombre, with the rainbow one. So I have already applied my pigments here. I'm just gonna retouch them so they're a little bit more intense. We've got green, blue, but the only trouble with the pigments, as I say, they are quite messy, unfortunately. Wish they wouldn't be this messy. That's the only downsides of the pigments. Okay, and as you can see it, I'm using two eyeshadows applicators for it, just so my mixtures is pretty clean, because they tend to, the pigments tend to go all over. But you could also use the brush, like brush would be quite nice as well to apply it, the pigments. Obviously the eyeshadow applicator is much cheaper option. Okay, get that into your tweezer. And then let's ombre the rainbow. Okay, so you can see it, my sponge is a little bit too big for that. So as I say on the beginning of this video, ideally you want to actually have the sponge to the size of the client nail or the tip you are working on. But this is the results for the rainbow ombre, really nice and beautiful. Now, because my sponge was a little bit too big, I have to kind of touch it up from the bottom, and then if I want some blue, I have to touch it up from the top as well, just like this, to bring those other color which I was missing. Okay, but always, guys, make sure your sponge is clean out of any fluff, because there is nothing worse than just like lots of fluff going on. And obviously the longer you play with it, the nicer blend you will get. I would say I'm quite satisfied with this one, and then I can store my sponge on the form. And quite often my suggestion would be even like touch your form with your hand, so you remove the excess of the glue. And this way you are not going to rip off your sponges. And look how pretty it becomes when we apply the top coat. So really nice and easy way to do the ombre. And now I'm going to retest it on another tip and see it like how many, like if I'm able to, without of reapplying the pigments, if I'm able to ombre another tip. So let's cure it. Okay, so I'm just going to paint another tip so I can show you different color combination. And then give it a cure. So always remember there is an inhibition layer which you need to use it for those kind of ombre. So make sure you do not touch it, like so you do not get rid of that inhibition layer. Now here is the pink and the orange one. And then we've got the rainbow one ready too. Really nice and pretty. I actually love that rainbow one, like it's so cool. Now I'm gonna wait for my tip to cook nicely. There we are. And then let's do it another one. So I would actually want to check if I can reuse the same sponge without offloading it with the pigment. Okay, so let's maybe try the rainbow one. And I didn't add any more pigment. I want to see it if this is still gonna work. So I think that's pretty important, because we spent such a long time loading all those colors in. Now, when you reposition your sponge, make sure you do it maybe on the back of the form or something, so you don't bring any different colors of the pigment which might be on your wipe. So I did mistake with it. Do not repeat that mistake, okay? I like to show you different things. So here we are. Get that pigment in. It is still ombre, but I don't think so it is that clean. So ideally, you might get maybe a maximum of maybe two sets of the ombre out of the one load of the pigment, and then we should really reapply it. And you cannot touch the tip too many times, because then later on it is not gonna take the pigments well. So let me just reapply a tiny bit of it and see it if we can still bring it into a tip. And then the purple one. Yeah, but I am very curious, guys, like which technique have you tried and which one actually you like the most? As I say, I am quite a fan of the gel polish with the acrylic, because I find it is pretty nice and fast. With this difference that the pigments are giving a stronger, like, kind of color range, more neon, because obviously they are neon. Okay, repeat it and then try to bring that in, and let's see if my inhibition layer still allows me to bring in more pigment into that tip. Yes, in some places I can still I can see some improvement, but ideally with this technique, guys, you want to really get your ombre as nice as possible in the first touches when you've got the inhibition layer. Okay, so let's apply the top coat. Let me know if you want to see it more color combination or more different ways of using the neon pigments as well, like for an ombre or maybe aura kind of look. That will be pretty simple to do it with this technique as well. I'm just gonna top coat this one, give it a cure, and then this way you have seen it, how easily we can create the ombre with the neon pigments. And I hope, guys, you have really enjoyed it. I'm sending you huge glittery hacks and looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!